This is Self-Reliance fault again with a new video on fixing an axle on a Kia Sedona. First of all, I want to take the time and say thank you to all of you who have been watching these videos and making comments, and I'm glad that you all like them and that you think that I'm doing an okay job and I'm clear enough and explicit enough. So I'm fixing the car outside. I don't have room in the garage. Pretty much the job is done. But I want to go over some things. So a bunch of tools around me. Okay, I'm on the street. I don't have a garage. I have a garage, but I don't have room in the garage. So the axle on driver's side, the Kia Sedona 2003. Today is about 17th of December 2011. So to get to the axle, this is called the spindle. Let me see what I'm doing. Okay, this is called the spindle. Okay, it is connected right here to the shocks. Okay, so you have to remove the two bolts from here that connect here. Then this is the tie rod. You have to take the bolt out. Okay, and maybe loosen up this bolt. So one bolt here, one nut. Actually the nut needs to come out. The bolt stays in place. Take the nut out of the tie rod, and definitely these two bolts that are connected to the shocks. And then you're left with the spindle. You might have to jack up the car. I always use a jack stand and a tire. Safety is my number one priority when I get under 4,000 or 5,000 pound car. So I don't want to cause any sorrow to my loved ones, and use like I said, jack stands and a tire. Transmission fluid will leak out, but put some old shirts or clothing in a bucket, put it right under, and the clothing will soak it up and you can throw it away. You're gonna have to get under, so jack it up and use let me show you the tool. It's called a pickle fork. Look at that. It's called a pickle fork. Okay, and you're gonna have to pry it in between. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, in between that end and the transmission. So, say a side view. You want to pry it in and then push out. Okay. In between the transmission and the CV joint, the CV joint of the axle, and pry it out. Try to use another buddy when you do this. I use a neighbor. He's a great help. He's a former mechanic, so he knows a lot. I was able to take all these out, to try to figure how to take it all out on my own, but then the axle wouldn't come out, and you should be able to, when this end comes out through the spindle, you should be able to push on this end as it's inside. So push it here, and the axle, you should see this end of the axle, slightly jogging inward, but it wasn't. On my other car I was able to do that, so I was a little kind of panicked, didn't want to damage anything, especially but this is a new one, but on the old one, the threads, and make sure that the new nut will go back in smoothly. So if it doesn't, as it's in the spindle, if it doesn't jog back as you push with you should be able to push it with your thumb. Use a bolt, pry it in here. Let me see where that is. Alright, as this end will stick out. So when it's in the spindle, and just hit this end with a hammer. Don't worry about it, you will not damage anything. If you have a longer one, it will be better, because you need to be able to reach inside as you knock it. This end moves inward, and then you don't have room to keep going through the inside you know what I mean, and keep hammering because it keeps going inward. So just make sure you have a longer one just in case, but put it right here in the front and hammer that and the axle this end, because it's like a joint. It should bend, and as it bends it moves inward. On my other car, I have a Pontiac Grand Prix 1999. I was able to remove the wheel bearing on my own. It has 3 bolts and that's it. On a Kia Sedona 2003, the wheel bearing, you cannot remove it on your own. So go to a what do they call them? Some shops that do press work. Oh, machine shops, I think, and they do press work. So they have to use some pressing machine, hydraulic stuff, whatever they're using, to remove that. And this is the bearing. Okay, so I was having this really weird noise, like everything was shaking and this vibration coming off the driver's side. And so I took it to someone. He replaced it, but this is what the problem was. I don't think he replaced the rubber seal. So the reason why I started this project today on a Saturday is because I have grease. Okay, I have grease on the inside. I hope you can see that grease, a stain, and the spindle had grease, and the inside of the tire still had grease. It's a little shiny. I hope you can see the grease. So it was a pretty greasy job, and I guess it turned out it wasn't the axle, but the wheel bearing seal. However, now I'm not getting the vibration, so I'm happy. My neighbor who helped me out advised me that I should replace the axle too when I replace the wheel bearing. So about 2 weeks later, I'm able to do this on my own. I had to take it to a shop, dropped it off, the guy replaced that. But yeah, just in case, I mean, for the record, you cannot replace this on your own at home. I wish I could have. I'm that kind of guy who likes to get dirty and do things on my own, but I was not able to do that. Removing the axle, you can do it on your own. So remember, one nut off the tie rod, the bolt stays in place. The pickle fork, okay, and you have to pry this in here, push it out, and this is the end that will eventually come, okay, on top of that. You have 2 bolts here that are connected to, where are you, to here, so those need to come out, and there's a bolt that you only have to loosen. Okay, this stays in place, but just take it off. And that's about it. Make sure to secure the caliper. It's a homemade device. You don't want to break the fuel lines again. And just put all the bolts back in place. Take your time. And thank you to all my viewers. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps. And I don't think there's any video on replacing the axle on a Kia Sedona 2003 or anything about the wheel bearing. Okay, on the Kia Sedona 2003. So I'm glad that I finally made it. I probably should have done it throughout the process, but it's pretty messy, greasy, grease and transmission fluid everywhere. So my hands still are pretty greasy. Didn't want to mess up the camera and get more oil on me than I needed to. Yeah, I will see you guys around. Thank you very much for watching. You have a wonderful Christmas. Bye bye.